Here they are. Nirvana.
Well, the band started in 1987 in a small coastal town in Aberdeen, Washington.
I'd been playing guitar for about 3 years before I started a band. I couldn't find anyone in my hometown to play with until I met Chris. The drummer for the Melvins, and I made a demo in like 85, late 85, and at my aunt's house on a 4-track. And I had had the tape for about a year or so, and I was always trying to push it on my friends, you know, to try to get them into starting a band with me. And one day Chris, after probably hearing it a few times, just decided, hey, this is pretty good.
I didn't see much future for those guys. They were pretty much bordering on retarded, bums, basically, unemployed, and rock and roll made them millionaires.
Things came together really fast. Within a week, we had a set. I think we had like a half-hour set.
It was just so amazing, you know, to actually play. I mean, I'd heard these songs because they were recorded, but all the instruments were dubbed, you know. To play them live in a room, you know, it was amazing. It was like the most incredible thing I've ever done.
At that time, I lived in Tacoma and Kurt lived in Olympia. And my mom had this empty apartment above her. She owned the building where this beauty salon was in. And we spent a week down there before we went to record Bleach. And just hashed it out up there all night long.
We wrote so many songs in that week, right before we recorded, that we were excited about the new songs. We wanted to record them. But initially we were really into experimental, noisy, like whole surfers kind of music, you know. But we did feel a little bit of pressure, a little bit of intimidation by the whole Seattle scene because everyone was so heavily into this retro 70s thing. And we wanted to just record the few new songs that we had and re-record most of the stuff that was on the Fecal Matter tape. And that would have been the album. You know, it would have been a lot more like Incesticide, but we just happened to write so many new songs, you know. We just put it on Bleach. And they just happened to have been more in the 70s vein, you know.
We were just making records like everybody else was. We were making Jack and Dino produced records recorded at Reciprocal Studios on an 8-track. Coming from Aberdeen, it was like, you know, just to go drive around the country, like go to New York, that was an achievement right there. It was such a big goal that I, you know, couldn't see much far past that, but you do that for a couple of times. You know, well, what's like going to Europe, and then, you know, wow, Sonic Youth and Dinosaur, they all signed their major labels. You know, why don't we? So that was something else to look forward to.
When Kurt and Chris realized that they were going to be on a major label soon and that they were really going to have to deliver the goods in a really professional way, I think they decided that that was when it was time to let go of Chad Channing.
For a long time, we weren't very happy with Chad's drumming, basically. I mean, he has his own unique style, and it's appropriate for a lot of the songs that we wrote, but not for what we really wanted to do at the time. We just wanted to move into more of a pop world, you know, at the time, and his style just didn't fit.
David Grohl grew up in Washington, D.C., and quickly joined a band called Scream, who were one of Washington, D.C.'s hardcore bands, and the bass player abruptly left. just quit. And Dave was stranded.
We saw Dave down in San Francisco and thought, wow, what a great drummer. And then he was talking to Buzz from the Melvins and said, oh yeah, Nirvana needs a drummer. So he called up and said, yeah, come on up. And he did. And it was really cool. He's just really fluent and just really heavy and really energetic.
Dave added so much more diversity. You know, not only did he have perfect metronome timing, he hit really hard. He was able to go in between all the dynamics that we wanted to experiment with, and it was just perfect.
I just kind of flew up here and hung out for a few days, and I saw him play a show. And I'd learned the songs off the records, and we practiced like almost every night of the week. And that was months, too. That was from 4 months or something, or 5 months. We practiced so much and write a song almost every practice.
I call Nevermind the rite of passage record, where you get signed to a major label, you get an advance, and then you get a producer, and then you go to Los Angeles and you record in the studios. That's like $1,200 a day, and you come out with a big record.
The momentum and excitement at the time was so great because everyone sensed that the album was going to do pretty well, you know. There was just a feeling in the air, you know. There was just like this new thing happening, and no one could quite pinpoint it, but we knew that we were a part of it, you know.
I think most of the big deal happened while we were in Europe.
The way I see it is this tour, like us and Nirvana and all the other bands that we're going to be playing with, to us it's like, I know there's kids out there and they have the same feelings.
To be asked to go on tour by a band like Sonic Youth was like a dream come true, you know. I mean, I still can't describe what I felt. You know, it was like, wow, what an honor.
That was great. Kim, you were amazing. Costner. You were amazing. Costner. Hey, it's Kim, Steve, Thurston. Hey, it was great. You know, it's a fabulous show tonight.
You guys were really neat.
Tell, like, you know, then and then you'd go into Teen Spirit, and when we were on tour and we'd see it on MTV, and we'd like call someone else's room, you know, tell them. And that was weird because I used to room with Kurt, and I'd be sitting there watching TV. I see Kurt's face on TV, and then I look over at the bed next to me, and I see Kurt's face, and it's just like.
Put that song together, it's like we look at each other and goes, God, this is kind of a Pixies ripoff, isn't it? Like we thought there's bigger hits on that record, like Lithium and In Bloom, and so we recorded Teen Spirit, and I remember Kurt put the vocals down, and then the next day I walked in the studio, and Butch was like, oh, you guys gotta listen to this, and he had like a rough mix of it, and he just cranked it. He was like, wow, this really rocks. It was a really rocking song, really powerful, and it just really turned things upside down.
Well, we don't sound like Madonna. Here we are now. We're Nirvana.
When he made the video in the same soundstage, so many similarities. They're gonna have all these cows and pigs going around. We thought, oh, he's gonna tear us apart. We were all like, oh, we were going like, oh man, that Weird Al's gonna get us. And then we saw the video and I was just like laughing. It was really funny. It was really good.
With the lights out, it's a dangerous, you know, entertainment.
We used to play that before we'd go on, and then we'd come out dancing on the stage like ballerinas. That was about all it was worth to us.
Come as you are, as you were, as I want you to be.
That was the first, like, sort of big production video, like big production, where we came in and they actually had built this elaborate set. It was very grand, very, it was really beautiful. And there was like thousands of gallons of running water all over the place, and a huge chandelier. And I remember Kurt swinging from the chandelier, and he had on this like harness or something. I just remember him saying like, "Let me down, I'm gonna puke."
I'm so happy, 'cause today I found my friends, and in my head, I'm so ugly. That's okay, 'cause so are you.
The footage from the Lithium video all came from a show that we played in Seattle on Halloween, 1991, with some stuff spiced in from Dave Markey's footage of the Sonic Youth Tour.
At the time, I wanted pretty much a rip-off of the Brothers Quay. You know, not a rip-off, but, you know, using the same imagery. But we failed to hire some puppet people, I guess that's what you'd call them, people who do animation and use puppets in time to be able to finish it, to get it out in time for the release date. So we just scrapped the idea.
I started playing the song, and all of a sudden the amp was just so overdriven, it started cutting out, and it just died. And so instead of standing there going, duh, I thought I'd do the sensational bass toss. I've got some pretty good air before, so I like threw it up there, and I had like, some beers and stuff, and maybe was a little nervous, and I caught it wrong. It just like popped me on the head, and just kind of fell down, and I just ran off stage. And Kurt didn't even know what happened, and I'm like walking off stage. He sees me, and he kicks me in the ass as I walk off stage, of all things. And then he didn't know what happened. After he told me, he goes, "I'm sorry I did that. I didn't know what happened."
The winner is Nirvana. Smells Like Teen Spirit.
The winner? Nirvana.
I'd like to thank my family and our record label and our true fans.
Next, ladies and gentlemen, we have three fine young men from Seattle.
That's Doug Llewellyn from People's Court. How cool is that? We tried to get that encyclopedia kid. Remember me? But he was sick.
I wanted something that looked like it was off of live television from the late 50s or early 60s. And I thought the best way to do it, instead of trying to reproduce that effect with new film, I asked Kevin, are those kinescope cameras still available? And he said, yeah, we can get them in Hollywood. You can get anything in Hollywood. So it just worked out perfectly.
That's okay, 'cause so are you. Grandma, take me home. Grandma, take me home. Hey, wait.
Have you heard the Incesticide record? That's the kind of band we used to be. We used to be more like Gang of Four, new wave influence.
Mama when Dad went to a show. He dropped me off at Grandpa Joe's. I kicked and screamed to please no. Grandma, take me home. Grandma, take me home.
Then we started getting too much into straight-ahead garage, grunge music, and that's pretty much what Bleach was like. And then Nevermind was more pop, a little bit more commercial. And now we're kind of reverting back to the first thing, which would sound more like Incesticide, just weirder stuff.
Just wanted to make a stripped down, straight ahead record. That here's the story that our record was unlistenable and unreleasable and was whatever, and wasn't that way at all.
People either wanted to love it or they wanted to hate it way before it came out, and so I knew that. I knew that it would, there's no way that it would do what Nevermind did. There's just no way. Just because it's a different scene now.
Serve the Servants is not about, the first opening lines that say, teenage angst has paid off well, now I'm bored and old, that is certainly about, my ideas about grunge rock and what I've experienced in the last few years, but the rest of the song isn't about that at all. It completely changes the subject. I especially focused on not writing about all the crap that's been written about us. I didn't want to be thought of as bitching and complaining in any of these songs. And it turns out that there may be one or two lines in a song here and there that could be, could be thought of as something that relates to my past life, but I swear to God, brother, it's really not that as much as it seems. It's a let me repeat that, anti-rape song. I got tired of people trying to put too much meaning into my lyrics, being too, not making enough sense, So I decided to be really blunt and bold. So, and I just thought it's kind of a funny just reward for a person who rapes, like a guy who rapes a woman, violates her, and then he goes into jail and gets raped, And I think it's kind of a justice.
This is our new guitar player, Pat.
I suffer from mental blocks. I have short-term memory loss, too much concentration on remembering those three chords and the words, and maybe having a little bit of participation with the crowd, Just too much for me. So I got a second guitar player. So much fun to be around, and it's just been so great being on tour with him. It also just rounds out the sound. I think that's the most important thing. In the sun, I feel it's one. In the sun, Mary.
Before our record came out, the top 10 was like Whitney Houston, and there was no rock band on the top 10, or an important band, whatever that means. So it really took a while, like a year and a half or more, until everything had happened, or after everything had happened, that I really realized, like, wow, I guess we really did kind of make a difference.
One baby, two, another said I'm lucky to bet you.
Voice of a generation. I mean, look, you know, Bob Dylan, he was given that, but he passed it off because who's gonna take that on, you know, and pull it off without being some total megalomaniac demagogue or something.
I really want to change our style of music, you know. I want to do something different, really different, you know. And I want to have enough guts to do that. And if it alienates people, that's too bad, you know. But, you know, the Beatles went from, not to compare us to the Beatles, but the Beatles and Rolling Stones and bands like that went from, you know, I Want to Hold Your Hand to Sgt. Pepper's, you know. That was a massive progression, you know. And I just want to experiment.
Her first